Hi, Rich Hoffman here. I'm with Michael Ryan. He's running for Butler County Commissioner. It's going to be a little bit though, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, how far off? I mean, we're talking 2026, right?
Yeah, May of 2026 is the primary.
So primary in May 2026. So we're about a year out. Takes a while to kind of establish these kinds of campaigns. But you and I mean, we've talked a lot over the years. It's something you make a lot of comments on some of my social media stuff. We see each other at different events. And, I think over time we've just sort of, share a lot of common interests. And we were at Nancy Nix's fundraiser, and I was walking, my wife didn't come to that one, so I was walking around with a plate. I didn't have anywhere to sit down, and you said, hey, why don't you sit down here? So I did, and we were talking about a bunch of things and kind of catching up because we're sitting there eating food.
Yeah.
And we started talking about opportunities. What you said you were going to plan to run for commissioner. I think it's a great idea. I think what I've come to know about you is that you're a fresh face, fresh ideas. You're vice mayor of Hamilton right now. City council member.
Yep.
So you guys are doing a lot of good stuff down there. It's a tough job.
Yeah.
To do anything with a city that's been around for a while, that built the Butler County Regional Highway to kind of bring business to that city. And it takes a while, but you have to have a free enterprise zone kind of mindset. You guys have, I think, attracted quite a lot of good stuff down there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea to have you running as a commissioner, because again, it's a tough job to take an older city where all its industry is picked up and moved out.
Yeah.
And I think talking broadly, we've talked about Vivek Ramaswamy probably being the next governor and what that brings the state, and then you want a lot of people in different zones where you want to bring economic activity to it. What's that look like, and what kind of minds would it take to do it? And I think you're one of them that could probably create some excitement.
Yeah.
So anyway, you and I were talking about air taxis. Joby Aviation up the road in Dayton, Ohio, is making these things. They're a release for 2025. I came to this spot. This used to be a fitness center in Westchester, and I thought it would be kind of a cool place for like a heliport for air taxis to ferry people back and forth to CVG and then to Westchester, because right over here is the hotels, and this is, if you're coming to Butler County, this is where people come, and then you could then have a little service that runs around to different parts of Butler County or Warren County.
Yep.
But you wouldn't do it the traditional way with like an Uber or a taxi. People come into these hotels and come into here to do business or coming just to visit. They have to have a way to get from the airport, CVG, Cincinnati, to where they want to go, which would be Butler County, Ohio.
That's right.
And then again, you and I talked about these things, taking people to places they'd like to go if they didn't have a car while they're in town, like downtown Hamilton, or even over to Kings Island.
That's right.
Or anywhere they wanted to go in the region. So it's already sitting here. So you and I had an extensive conversation, and I said, it would be great if we had commissioners who could really kind of juice up in a non-traditional way some of this new technology that a lot of them just don't know about yet.
You definitely want to look at your assets and see what you can enhance. Especially with this building, it's vacant. I would be looking at this from the angle of, okay, what's the best use for this building? What can we put in here that's going to attract jobs, support the surrounding businesses, bring additional tax revenue in that will, come into the general fund so that you can increase your tax base and hire more police officers, hire more firefighters.
The goal is growth.
Yeah.
And how do you go about getting
Economic
growth?
development. Yeah.
Whether it's trains, planes, automobiles. We have a great airport in Butler County Regional.
Yep.
But when you have something like this beautiful building, is a buyer's going to come in. They're either going to tear it down or turn it into a dollar store like traditionally happens.
Yeah.
But this already kind of looks like it belongs at Epcot at Disney World. and it's here in Westchester. And I think the only drawback to it, if you're launching some of these, if you've ever seen the Joby aviation, they're not helicopters, they're like fancy drones, but they're taxis, and you get them and you ride them around.
Right.
It's the Jetsons, and it's here in 2025.
Right.
And they're going to be shipped to Abu Dhabi. It's already a done deal. The only thing holding us back from doing it in the United States is the FAA. But they're under review, and they've done a lot of good work, and I think they're on the fast track, especially with the Trump administration.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that up and coming industry, that's we're primed. The county is primed to attract an up and coming industry that is only going to grow. So this is where having a solid vision comes into play. When you attract the air taxi technology companies that are starting to grow and starting to get momentum, you want to latch on to that and bring them into your community, because once they grow, then they're going to grow inside your township or your city. That means they're going to be growing with more jobs, more technology, and next thing you know, your community could be the center of an up-and-coming new innovation technology center.
Butler County has over 400,000 people in it.
Yeah.
It's considered, it would be considered a city in most places in the world. We don't want it to be a city. We have Hamilton to be a city. We have Middletown that could use some revival. I think we have some supportive politics at all levels that want to say, let's revitalize some of this stuff. Butler County is a really cool place to do business. Again, we talked about the airport. There's a great airport.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about new technology and you have something like this just sitting around doing nothing, it wouldn't take a whole lot to kind of mix and match, I think, investors, people who think about that kind of stuff and connect it with that new technology, because it's going to happen whether we lead it or not.
Right. And, when you look at Butler County, especially with the history of the city of Hamilton, Hamilton was founded by pioneers. And, the Renchlers, the Becketts, we were the safe capital of the world. We were the paper-making capital of the world. We were the center of it all. And, we need to continue that mindset of being pioneers. And we can continue to do that, by latching on to these opportunities with up-and-coming tech, with the air taxis,
Look at the building.
The aviation.
How cool.
Yeah.
Right in downtown Union Center Boulevard.
Yeah.
Jags is over there, the Marriott's over there, all these hotels, they can just walk right over here and put the air taxis on top of the roof, 4 of them, 4 corners. People go in, and this is like your little depot, and they get their ticket, they hang around while they wait for the next air taxi, and then you take off and go away. Go to wherever you want to go.
Come to Hamilton.
And
everywhere else.
Go everywhere else in Butler County.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
So you're running. We talked about the challenges why it takes so long to kind of create a platform that people have to get behind. It takes a lot of energy, especially when you're not just in a city, it's county-wide.
Right.
There's a lot of people to talk to, a lot of babies you have to kiss, and all that stuff. It takes time to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the way it works typically on these things is, just generally speaking, the difficulties in a primary. Republicans, I would like to see work more together on these kinds of things so you can have opportunities like this. But often what happens is you get these bottom feeders. All the top candidates fight it out, and they never get any kind of name ID that really clicks. And then you have Republicans run against each other, and then the people who are less popular or who are incumbents, have been around, that have the name ID that people know, end up getting reelected even though they may not be the best person. And in this case, it would be Cindy Carpenter. I think Cindy Carpenter got caught doing the campaign for Democrats in Middletown, and that's going to hurt her. I think we don't have to get in the dirty politics on any of it, but people are going to be looking for options, and I think you're a good, fresh option. So someone that's been there for a long time.
Thank you.
And she's had an opportunity to do good things. We have some pretty good commissioners. But I think when you start talking about stuff like this, opportunities like this, everything's been done very well. The history, especially in Westchester, is well known. Had a lot of vision to get there, to make what we see here today. But then I'll go to the next level. Something like this we should lead it. We shouldn't be waiting around for somebody else to do it and then say, oh, well, golly, geez, let's get on board 10 years later.
Yeah, this would be a great collaborative project, with the local jurisdiction and the county officials, and that's something I hope to really continue if I'm elected, God willing, to create those partnerships, that collaboration. So the county is here to assist you and help grow all of the communities that are interested in growing and taking advantage of opportunities like this that could really be tech savvy and really move the community forward for the future. And that's the biggest thing. It's a vision. You want to have a candidate that's looking ahead and looking ahead to beyond the curve to strategically place the county in a position where it's only going to grow and develop. And I think that's and you've seen in Hamilton, that's what we've been doing so good at.
Yep.
Is finding a way, finding a path, reinventing the city. Because if you can't go backwards, you have to go forwards, and if you can't do that, you got to move side to side until you can figure out how to move forward. So you got to look ahead, and you got to be strategic with what you got, and make a plan and execute it, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and as far as a politician, see, a politician doesn't do the work. A politician makes it so that people who have like the investment dollars or the vision or the technical expertise can then connect with each other. You have to take the barriers away so that can happen. That's why it's important to have free enterprise zones and a political character that can connect those dots and help them see that vision. Like in this case, this is probably who knows why this building is still in the state that it is, but to find a way to connect the regulatory environment to the opportunity of investment. And what would that take? And that's the kind of extra work it takes. You have to have a little juice as a commissioner to make those extra phone calls and connect people the extra bit away. Because otherwise, people drive by this and they have no idea. They say, well, that's an interesting building. I might buy it for some reason. It's a little too big to be a Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
It's maybe I could break it into a couple different shopping zones. It's a huge parking lot.
Yeah.
But what could you use it for? Now, I just happen to know about the Joby Aviation. It takes, not everybody has expertise in those fields, but then how can you connect the dots? And I think that's where the commissioners come into play. When you have to figure out how to fiscally manage a district, and you're looking for, like in this county, an opportunity to create and inspire investment. And then what can people do with that investment? And what's their rate of return? They want to see something happen quickly.
That ROI.
Yeah, they don't want to waste a lot of time talking about something, and it gets stuck in bureaucratic committee meetings, and everybody's sitting around downtown talking on a late night, and all everybody achieves is going to McDonald's and getting a coffee afterwards. You want to actually accomplish something. So people who have money, especially invest in technology, want to see a quick return on that investment. And I think in the case of this, whether it's here or whether it's at the airport or it's a Middletown airport or wherever we're talking about, Joby Aviation is serious business, and it's going to take the first leaders that grab onto it are going to greatly benefit from the opportunity. So when you and I were talking about the commissioner race, we're talking about 2026, and we're talking about energy and fresh perspective and ability to work with people who have been there, who already understand how the ropes work, but to bring fresh ideas that they could benefit from. I think that's where we start getting into why you're such a good opportunity. So I got very excited when I mentioned something about you're the one that brought it up to me, the vertical takeoff taxis.
Yep.
Because I've written a few articles about it, and you read them, and we found that we had some common interests on that. And I thought, well, that's a young person that would make a great commissioner. Let's make this happen.
It's a great opportunity, and we got to latch onto those, this type of thing, and make sure that we're taking advantage of those opportunities, and we don't want to miss the taxi on this one. no pun intended.
No pun intended.
But we want to get ahead of it, latch onto it now, and watch these folks grow in Butler County, because, as you said, that return on investment is key. It's going to bring people into the county. It's going to bring ideas back into the county. And, when you look at our population, we're going to have an influx here, probably over 400,000 here in the next maybe 15 to 20 years or so. What are we doing to prepare for that population increase?
Yeah.
What are we doing to prepare to service, our businesses and make sure that we're preparing and being strategic for economic development opportunities coming our way? So I think latching on to ideas like this, investigating further, and seeing how we can make it work here is totally worth our time.
I think it's great. Have you talked to Mark Welsh about this? Mark Welsh is right over there somewhere. It seems like something he would really be excited about.
I'm sure
as
he
a
would.
trustee.
Yeah, I'd love to sit down with those guys and talk with them more about that. I'm sure this would be a great spot. I know our airports here in the county are, getting some investment. I'm really happy to see that. And I think, again, it just goes back to, as a commissioner, I would really like to take a look at our assets and, see if we're getting the best use out of all of them, like the Hamilton Fairfield Airport. The city of Hamilton owns a lot of land around there, and it's just vacant. What can we do with that land to create some jobs, create opportunity, and be strategic with it that, little tech companies like this can grow on.
Yeah.
So that's the type of vision I have. That's just kind of the way I think. And I think a good leader would be someone that would follow that.
It takes leadership, and it's going to take someone with enthusiasm to have the chat and get the right people, because it's always the right people don't always know each other, but point them in a direction so they can all make something good happen. But look at the size of this parking lot, and it's right here, right over there's the new condominiums that they built. There's the McDonald's. Look at all that traffic out there in Union Center. And I think the only drawback are those power lines, but they're far enough away from this that you have clear airspace above it for the way that these Joby vehicles fly.
Absolutely.
But that hotel right there, at Fairfield Inn, and then the Marriott's over there, and there's two others over there. That's walking distance for them. They could come to Butler County from CVG without having to rent a car,
Right.
and everything they need is right here.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That's great.
So
That's great.
yeah, so this is a really good spot, and I just hate to see it go nowhere. And I think that some of it is just people don't know what the opportunities are, and I think that's where you have to have political leadership that gets it, that is thinking out of the box and embracing some of this new stuff. We're not talking about the Jetsons here. We're talking about real stuff that's happening in 2025, and it's only FAA regulations away from complete approval.
Yep.
So I mean, we're just sharing what we talked about, and we're having a continued conversation about it because it's exciting.
Very exciting.
I mean, politics is politics, and you still have to make sure the roads are done correctly, and schools get done correctly, and people get their basic needs that they need out of a government. And that's
Absolutely.
a lot of job what a commissioner does.
Yep.
We're not talking about pie in the sky, fantasy, crazy science fiction stuff here. But we are talking about embracing new technologies in a way that it can benefit a city like Hamilton and a county like Butler that has so much opportunity. It's going to get a good look from the Trump administration, from Vivek Ramaswamy, and J.D. Vance is wanting to see revitalization of his hometown of Middletown as vice president and maybe president. Not to get too far away, but there's a lot of exciting things happening in Butler County, and it needs to represent the optimism of what this new decade can bring us.
Absolutely.
And I think you're a fresh look on that.
Thank you.
So, you want to say anything else? I think this is pretty good today.
Yeah, well, just appreciate you taking time to talk, and thank you to those who are watching, and looking forward to talking with all of you more as this process continues, and getting to know you guys a whole lot more. So looking forward to it.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
So Michael Ryan running for commissioner, Butler County, Ohio. I think we'll do more of these because I think he's a sharp young mind that I think people would do well to get to know. So we'll do that.
Sounds
anyway,
good. Sounds good.
Rich Hoffman here. if you haven't read my book, Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. And have a good day. Vote for him when you get a chance to. And see you later.
See ya.